Hey. So, while I have it on my mind, Trisha brought up on my gaslighting video about pretty much the sneaky ones. Your covert narcissists and whatnot. And unfortunately, I have experience in these. So, yeah. With at least 2 of them. If not 3. And I wish I was kidding. And it happened at the same damn time. And I'm not just trying to use that as like a bad word. I'm dead ass fucking serious. Because while he broke me, he had a friend tag team me, and I still have my assumptions as to what was going on there. And also the person who raised him. So, yes, the sneaky ones. And yes, narcissists. The term that used to be rare, a diagnosis that used to be rare, and is not so much anymore. Because more and more of them are being exposed for what they truly are. And I did not know until after he left. And 2 people that I know with psychology degrees labeled him as such. Because I explained everything that he pretty much acted throughout our relationship. The way that he would treat me. You know, demand that I trust him, and yet he was talking to other chicks behind my back. In ways that a married man should not be talking to someone and then yelling at me that I didn't trust him. One time I caught him red-handed, and he literally asked me an hour later, can we just move on? And then got upset when, you know, because I didn't have closure. He was more mad that I went through his stuff. And so I never got that closure. I never got that healing. So I was basically asked the nurse to shut up about it. Not only that, but, you know, making jokes that, or I guess making insults disguised as jokes. That's what I meant to say. Just being downright rude. And I even tried to tell him that, you know, hey, maybe you should stop bullying people because, you know, you're in your 30s. He just goes, well, this is just how I am. And you're gonna have to deal with it. And I'm standing there going, whatever. That's pretty much how it went, because it's just like, what do you mean that this is just how you are in order to deal with it? It's like, you're literally insulting people. You're insulting the person that you claim to be your friend. Who, like, I mean, whatever was going on there, like, she was attached to him. And he would still insult her, too. And although I didn't like what was going on, it's still kind of like, why are you treating her like that? You know, because I don't see the point in treating people like that, even if they are stabbing me in the back at the same time. so frustrated. It's just the way that they treat people is, and the way that they go about it, like, they're so sneaky. Like, I had no idea what was going on. It was like, I did, but I didn't at the same time. And the gaslighting, and the whole, you know, that didn't happen. I didn't say that. We didn't do that. And it's like, and of course I'm questioning me and myself, and it's like, or no, you're just being paranoid, you're crazy. And it's like, no, I'm seeing things as they're happening, you're telling me that's not. Or one thing that my husband still finds utterly hysterical was me finding actually two things that my husband finds hysterical. Was that one time I found certain stuff on my ex-husband's search history for a very specific thing, and when I asked my ex-husband about it, he goes, well, maybe the cat did it. So now every so often my husband will look at the cat, because the cat's still around, and going, I didn't know you were into what it was that I found. And then every so often he'll just say the cat did it. I didn't do that, the cat did it. That's how I know that he's joking with me. And then also, I got told that it's what you choose to believe. Because of everything that had happened, everything that my intuition was telling me, and it's like, it's what I choose to believe. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. But, you know, I mean, this is the dude that, both of them, is like, there were no boundaries because they wouldn't respect them. I tried setting boundaries and they just leap right on over them as if they didn't fucking exist. They did not give a shit. Like, I'd catch them talking and they'd swap platforms. And they just keep swapping platforms. I hadn't asked them multiple times because I knew that they were being a problem. I asked him multiple times, will you stop talking to her? And then there were times where he said yes, and then someone else would inform me that they're still talking. And then this was also the guy who told me that, you know, after he left, that maybe I should have fought harder. And it's like, meaning when it came to between me and her, with him, and I told him straight to his face, it's like, I was your wife, that's not my job. I shouldn't have had to fight harder because you should have told her in order to basically put her in her place. You should have been the one in order to tell her no. That was not my job, that was his. And that's the thing. If you are ever in a relationship and they do not defend or respect you and the relationship, find a new one. Do not go through what I did. As soon as they disrespect that, and I'm not talking about control. I'm not talking about controlling another person, okay? Because that's not even what this was. It was one of those, I saw the signs, I brought it up to him, and it hadn't been going on, this whole back and forth thing, all the, like, 6 years. This person, this particular individual, had been an issue for 6 years. That is too long for someone to be an issue, to be a wedge in a relationship. Even 1 year is too long. 6 months. It's not about controlling another person. It's about protecting what you have. And if your partner cannot understand that, there's an issue. But also make sure that you're also not trying to manipulate them into not having any friends, because that's what he tried to claim. He tried to claim that he couldn't have any friends. That wasn't my issue. My issue was every time he had a friend, it turned into something it shouldn't have been. Because the majority of his friends were female. And I wasn't allowed friends. I had friends, because I didn't listen. The majority of my friends were female. Then he tried talking to them, and they get the creeps from him and not talk to him. And then he got upset because they weren't talking to him. You have to be very careful. You have to be very careful in protecting your mind and your heart. Especially your mind, because your mind works everything in your body. Make sure that everything works. And yeah, sometimes the inner voice can be hell. But we can also train it and talk differently. Been there, done that. I know I'm giving advice, and I know that there's a fine line. I'll put it this way, those who get what I'm trying to say will get it. Okay? Those who will think that I'm trying to be controlling, they won't get what I'm trying to say. They won't understand. Those of us who have been victims get it and understand exactly what the hell I'm trying to say. And you might be thinking, well, what the hell does this have to do with anything regarding to paganism? Ironically, it can actually mean everything. Because after he left, I stopped doubting myself. He would walk in through the door 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I look at him and know exactly where he was. I knew exactly where he was. And I knew that what he was doing was not what a married man should be doing. Even if he was in the middle of leaving me. I knew exactly what was going on. And that it had started before he even told me that he wanted a divorce. My intuition skyrocketed. And I'm not trying to be egotistic about that. Think of it as like those horses that wear blinders so that they don't get scared, right? Think of it as that, or like you're walking around with a blindfold on because you're in this messed up relationship for literally years. And then you get out of it, and it's like someone finally takes the blindfold off, and you start seeing clearly, and like you kind of like squint because it's bright, but then your eyesight starts to finally adjust, and you start to see more clearly. That's kind of like what I'm getting at. Okay, it's not an ego thing, it's trying to describe pretty much how it is. And the same thing can happen when you rewire your brain, when you rewire all the negative self-talk that's going on in here. And I'm not talking about, again, it's a fine line, I'm not talking about toxic positivity. I'm talking about actually healing your mind. Okay? That can have kind of like the same effect. And yes, every so often, even I slip. I still slip. I had a slip like a week ago. Okay? It's normal. It happens. Healing is not linear, and that's another thing that we need to be able to understand, because, you know, we go on this healing journey and then we fall down and we get frustrated with ourselves and thinking that we're not making progress. But the thing is that we are making progress, because falling down is teaching us to get back up, and it's reminding us how to get back up. It's like, okay, I've fallen down before. How did I get back up the last time? And then we do it again. And then somewhere down the line, we fall down again. And then we do it again. And over time, the falls don't hurt as bad because we're not falling as hard. Okay? We're able to catch ourselves. And go, okay, well, I'm slipping again. Let's come back up. It's almost like climbing a mountain. You know, you slide down, but you catch yourself. Or my favorite visual is climbing out of a pit. A very dark, very deep pit. Because those who get it, get it. It's a very deep, dark pit. Deep, dark void. With a very hard bottom. But once, we'll still have bad days, we'll still have rough days, but once we're able to see things more clearly, see things more brighter, and things start to feel more aligned, we start to see things better, which I'm repeating myself, but I'm not just talking about here, I'm talking about here, and wherever else, because there are different abilities. Whatever ability you may have, you can feel it better, you can hear it better, you can sense better, whatever it is that your gift is. I'm not gonna say what mine is, because mine is kind of like a rainbow of various things. So I haven't been able to pinpoint. And there's probably no particular pinpoint. I don't know. But healing yourself can greatly benefit whatever magic that you're trying to do. And that is what I've learned. Because I used to have a lot of self-doubt. And then I went through all of this for 9 years. And then I came out of it, and it's like, I'm not gonna doubt myself ever again. Because my intuition had been screaming at me literally the entire time. And I ignored it. It tried to tell me. It tried to warn me, and I ignored it. And that's my fault. And that is my lesson. That was my lesson learned. So. There are days to where it's hard, and I regret having to go through the bad days of that relationship. Because the bad days shouldn't have been as bad as they were. But I tried. I fought. I tried. I even tried to save the marriage multiple times. But one thing that I realized is that I have put so much of myself into him, trying to make sure that he was okay, that he was cared for. But he didn't really do the same for me. I mean, there were times that he did. There were times where he did protect me from certain things, like shows and movies that had that particular style of thing in it. Like, he didn't protect me with that, but anything that was going on in here, he told me that he'd have more important things to do. And more important things in order to worry about than me and whatever our relationship was going through. Eventually, he stopped yelling at me. But I had no idea on how traumatized I still was. I had no idea on a lot of the things that affected. When you're messed up in here, your outside world becomes very cluttered. Because how are you supposed to be able to I don't know how to say it. Your outside world becomes so cluttered when your mind is cluttered. And when you're trying to make sense as to what is going on. There's so much shit going on. There's a lot of shit going on. And then, you know, I do the things he wanted me to do, and then, like the dishes, I finally get those done, and then, you know, want to have people over, and then all of a sudden the sink is full of dishes again for me to clean. And it's one of those, I know that dishes are gonna happen, dishes are gonna pile up, but it was literally non-stop. And if he wasn't constantly calling me and messaging me, there were days where he didn't. And I went from having to constantly be at his beck and call to literally silence, and then my confusion would kick in because you're in this toxic cycle of the ups and downs and the tension and then withdrawal. And it's like, number one, I have silence, I can breathe. Number two, why is he ignoring me? And then all of a sudden, what was once peace for 5 seconds starts to turn into chaos. And then all of a sudden, you're messaging him asking what you did wrong, and now he's annoyed with you because how dare you bother him. And then not only that, but I also had my friends who were constantly bugging me, and not. I distinctly remember one friend that I had gone and taken a shower and didn't respond within 20 minutes, and they're just like, oh, okay. And it's just like, why can't I do anything? Why can't I do anything for me? Why can't I do anything for my kids without all these people demanding my attention? And so literally being pulled in every other which way while being expected there to try and keep a house clean. But I couldn't put the damn phone in between my head and shoulder because it disconnected the damn call. So I'd have to constantly go like this. So I'm, literally one-handed for the majority of the fucking day. And then finally, he comes home, then gets upset because I'm trying to do chores while he's home. And, you know, you should be sitting with me, so I go and sit down with him. But then he get mad that the house wasn't clean. And because the house wasn't clean, he claimed that I didn't care. But I did care. And that is one example. That is an example of literally one person. One damn person. That no matter what you do, you can't please everybody. That's just one person. So I do apologize if it takes me a couple of weeks in order to put out a video. But this is a hobby, not my priority, and I have other things in order to do. And I'll be damned if I go through that shit ever again. No matter who it is. And even my husband knows that too. And he don't care. And I'm grateful for that. Because that was some bullshit. I did not deserve that. I did not deserve any of that. I was supposed to be a wife, not a maid. I should have been... I'm human, not a robot. And that doesn't just go for my ex-husband, that goes for everybody else who has gotten pissed off at me for being human. And please keep that in mind for anybody else that you come across. There is a human being behind that damn screen. They have other shit that they're doing. They have other shit that they're dealing with. Be nice to people. Just be nice people.